Well, my views are a little different than the last four speakers you have heard. I think 2012 will make 2011 look much better. So I begin with that. And I think let's not get guided by last 45 days what has happened. It's a dumb money which has come into India, and just not ourselves get fooled by this that everything looks hunky-dory. I think if you look at nothing has changed fundamentally last 4 or 5 months, where we've got nervous from October onwards and looking at India in a very different format. And I think the government and policy framework is looking even dumber than what it looked then. So I don't think we are going to see a very good economic growth. I think most of the growth numbers which government was talking, I just want to remind you, because most of the time I think history gives us a little bit of a leeway into what the future lies. Last year, the budget was prepared at 9% growth projections. Everyone of us thought that 9% could not have been achieved. Government till September talked about 8.5%. They corrected it to 8% only in December. And now in February, they're talking about 7%. So I think if you see from 9% to 7%, what a deceleration has been. And going forward for 12-13, I think the most estimates are that it's going to be not more than 7%. It could be even 6.5%, depending upon depending upon where the rupee is going to be, depending on all oil prices are going to be, depending on where the monsoon is going to be. So I'm not that optimistic that 2012, which began pretty well, of course, in last 4 or 5 weeks, will have the same momentum going forward. Having said this, the second thought which I have for private equity, and I will talk about my experience. I'm not a practicing private equity guy, but my experience, because the company which I worked for in 1999 had about $200 million of private equity coming in. Cement business, which is a very, very simple, very dumb business. But experience of mine, having got the private equity money in 99, which was one of the early days, most people had not even heard the name private equity in India. And again in 2001 from one of the largest private equity guys, is that in India we have seen that this is basically a money providing game. But India hasn't really seen the serious private equity, the role which private equity should be playing into the company. It's another form of capital coming in. And most of the time, then private equity guys really blame the promoter of not having really worked the way they wanted. But I don't think private equity guys are really making the corporations and the promoter or the owner really work in a manner as a partner. So it's another form of capital. Most of the time, you will have a side agreement also done of fixed return IRR that I must get 22, 23 or whatever the percent is going to be, and I have a put option on you. I think this is what even IDBI did when I first set up a cement plant in '84. IDBI did the same thing when they provided the loan, that should you fail in this is what my IRR should be. So I see not much of a difference in the last 27 years from the capital providers, including the same kind of a set. And then when you don't most of the time bother, because you have some piece of paper written which will give you an IRR without bothering about what happens. And that is where you have Subiksha and Lilliput coming in and haunting at you. What do? Has the quality changed? Lilliput had a private equity before. And when it got into somebody else, and then you question the accounting practices, the character of the person and all that. I mean, somewhere I feel that enough role or enough job has not been done by most people in private equity. And I'm not going to blame here, because I'm not here to really talk this, but I suffer from speaking my mind, so I'll keep on speaking my mind. That most of the time in private equity I've seen, it's based on spreadsheets. Your investment decisions are largely made on spreadsheets. You engage the management, work out a spreadsheet, 5 forms will be there, discussions are done, and then finally you chase the IRR. So every spreadsheet will be corrected. Can we really achieve our whatever return IRR we want to give to LPs? So finally, what is it? Can a spreadsheet give you business? I don't think so. I mean, I made enough spreadsheets in my life. Out of 23 years I spent in Ambuja Cement, 21 years was struggle. We didn't make the kind of money which we wanted to make. So what do you do with that spreadsheet? It doesn't really deliver you. So I'm maybe deviating from that, but my sense is that 2012 is going to be again a more difficult year. And if it is a difficult year, don't depend on spreadsheet. Go and understand the business. Take the risk. The risk aversion is so high, and still you call yourself private equity. Both can't go together. And promoter knows it very well that he has taken enough risk in the business. So it's an external capital. It's not a partner capital. So it's a more of a still it's a public money coming in the private domain. And that's why in India you see most of the time pipe deals. I mean, pipe is again in Indian way of working out that I happen to be a little better fund manager than the quarter by quarter fund manager. So I don't look at 1 quarter number and get nervous. I look at 1 year number and get nervous. So that's the vision which is there. So to turn around on this, that how should one be looking at private equity to me is because it's a hugely crowded area. I mean, if this room is crowded, that makes me nervous. That there are so many players being there in that, and too much of capital is chasing too few ideas. You see one private equity deal and there are 10 guys working on it. Can't happen like this. Obviously, the promoter is going to ask for his pound of flesh. Obviously, valuations are going to be high in India. We keep on cribbing on this that valuations will come down, and that's a hope, or perhaps that's somewhere a prayer, not even a hope, that their valuations will come down. They won't come down. Why will they come down? He knows it well. There are 10 guys who are knocking his door. The investment bankers who are getting to those deals. Why should he compromise? He would rather wait. And secondly, most of the time he doesn't need money because there are enough ways of raising money. And you have capital markets which are public markets open. I mean, for a 10 crore you can have an IPO. So how can it really function in a private equity space unless you work out a niche for yourself and be away from what the herd is doing? So I think as I look at forward 11, I mean from 12, 13, I think the years are not going to change anything on that. India will remain challenging. India will remain jugaad. So come what may, if you invest even into a company which is into mining and you think that he is not bribed and got a mine, you are fooling yourself. I mean, you can't have that. And then when it hits you very hard that, oh, government is corrupt. How can government be corrupt? It's a corruption which is starting from the corporate sector. Government couldn't have been corrupt to begin with. Raja would not have known about the value of the spectrum. Let me tell you, Raja was an environmental minister. I handled with him and I dealt with him. He did not know anything about spectrum. How did he make money? You can't put him into jail. What happened to the people who showed him the spectrum is a very expensive thing? And come first serve. So don't go for auction. We'll give you money, you give us money, we give you money, and it's a cozy relationship. So those are very difficult situations. We keep fooling ourselves. We think that the company with whom we are putting money, he's the saint sent by the God. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I think open your eyes, see what you are doing, be partner, involve yourself into that. Corruption is one thing which has gone deep into this country. It will be foolhardy to think that government alone is corrupt. Sorry to say this, that whether governments are doing good job in hospitals. I think you go to smaller places, government-run hospitals are far superior than private run. Private guy will charge you 5 times and he doesn't even understand what medicine to be given. This is a state of affair of this country because I don't think there's only one set of people who are corrupt and another set of people who are completely saints. It's not there. In fact, there are more corrupt outside than inside on this. So my take is I've perhaps deviated from what the theme has been, but I just want to speak my mind. I come from corporate sector, unlike most of you. Spent 30 years, have seen all. I've seen it from now outside, and I've just started another venture arising out of that, which is a proxy advisory, where I want people to stand up because the power of the vote is far superior. Don't be helpless. And that is what happens. And in fact, most private equity deals I've seen, which are into pipe deals, they become even more dormant investors than others. They don't even attend board meetings. They don't even know what is being discussed in the board. Not that much is discussed in Indian boards in any case, but still, whatever is being discussed, you must participate into that. Most of the time, it's a family affair which is enacted into the boardroom. So, but at least be part of that family affair as well. Since you have joined the family, might as well see the last bit also in the boardroom. So these are my very random thoughts. Since you guys believe in private equity and believe in investing, with the disclaimer that keep your eyes and ears open. Thank you.